right? Are you using your cranium? Are you thinking about video in a strategic way? Because we have to think about truly what we're trying to do with our video content. Listen, if it's a marketing strategy, if it's a sales tactic, we're looking at it wrong. We need to realize that it is a way to communicate with other humans. Now, if we think about it in a way to communicate with other humans, and we start to change the mentality of what we're talking about here when it comes to creating video, then all of a sudden it becomes truly about the mentality. Now, if you think about your cranium, and yes, everybody is using it. So if you put a no, you can chuckle and be like, oh yes, I do use my brain every day. Every day I use my brain. But you have to start to think about the mentality that is happening inside of what's going on with your video creation process. And here's the thing, there's a little tip, and I'm going to share tips along the way, right? Tips, tools, all these things, but there's a tip that you need to understand and realize, and that is this: you have to believe in yourself and the content that you will create. I'm going to say that again. You have to believe in yourself and the content that you will create. Make sure you hashtag that if you use it on Twitter. It's all about the value that you create for your community that you serve. I'm going to say that again. It's all about the value you create for the community you serve. It's not a tactic. It's not a strategy. It's value. It's you believing in yourself. It's you believing in your content. It's you putting it out into the world and serving others. That's when you'll, reap what you sow. I'm just going to go that far. Reap what you sow. Answer the Public is absolutely amazing. And here's the thing. There used to be an old school way of what I would do to do what now Answer the Public does for me. And let me explain. By the way, this is part of the strategy section of what we talked about earlier, because I used to do what was the Google alphabet game. I would put in HubSpot space, then an A, HubSpot space, then a B, HubSpot space, and then a C. And I would see what the top 3 things that people were searching for online. And I would create podcast episodes, videos, all of that stuff around those things, because I know if it's being searched, the people that I'm trying to serve, the content for that community, I know that I'm hitting it in the right place. Well, Answer the Public, when you type in the keyword phrase or the topic that you want to be known for, whether it be HubSpot or video marketing or one-to-one personalized video or whatever, they're going to give you the top questions that people are asking. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, they're going to give you all those keyword phrases in alphabetical order. And they're going to even have an image map that showed dark green to light green, meaning the most searched to the least searched phrases. So now you have a map, a gold mine of all the words that people are using around the thing that you want to be the best at. So make sure you're checking out Answer the Public. Make sure you are checking out Answer the Public, because amazing videos always start with an amazing strategy. And that piece right there will give you the strategy that you need to put into place to create those 1 video a day, 3 video a week, whatever you decide that it needs to be. Now, of course, we could not have a conversation about video without even talking about gear. So your gear, and you might be sitting here and you have no gear, but the idea is that there's plenty of gear. And we could actually have an entire session where we're talking about gear. We could talk about tripods. We could talk about lights. We could talk about mics. We could talk about gimbals. We could talk about mobile gear versus DSLRs versus webcams. Here's the thing. Everybody gets hung up on this conversation, and this conversation doesn't really matter. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but in my opinion, gear doesn't matter. You have to simply do this one thing, and that is use what you have. Use what you have and get started until you can upgrade and buy more. We've done over 432 videos on Sprocket Talk for our YouTube channel. And guess what? They all started with a webcam and a $49 mic. And yes, eventually we upgraded to a DSLR, and in between that time, we used a mobile phone. And not once did anybody ever say, oh my gosh, I would watch this video if it was done on a DSLR, or, oh my gosh, this is done on a webcam. Nobody ever said that. So what I want you to realize today, as you think about gear and all the gear that can actually be out there, if you look at this image, do you get paralyzed? Because that's one thing that we can't do. We can't be paralyzed. So you need to really realize that the best video gear is the gear that you already own. It's the gear that lets you get started and create that content. Because remember, creating that content is starting that conversation. Creating that content is building that relationship. It's communicating in a more human way in a digital world. That's what creating that content is. So don't let the gear stop you from building those relationships. So keep it standing, people. Keep that gear standing. That's all I have to say. Look behind me. Like, it's going to be the time saver of your life. People will always talk about it takes so much time to create video. Listen, or they'll say it takes so much money. Get your gear in place, the gear that you own, put it in place, keep it in place, because then it's less time. There's no setup. There's no tear down. It simply is just there. And you step in front, you hit the record button, and then you move on to the next step. We're going to talk about next steps, but one thing that dramatically changed my ability to do 3 to 5 videos a day was having it in place. Lights in place, mic in place, camera in place. There's no fidgeting, there's no adjusting. It's just you get it and you go. Last little thing here, quality of video greater than quantity of video. Amazing quality comes with time. Make sure you tweet that out. Make sure you use the hashtag. Hey, it has been my pleasure. I know I'm going to answer some questions, but again, I'm George B. Thomas. These are the socials where you can hit me up at George B. Thomas on the Twitter, Mr. George B. Thomas on Facebook, and George B. Thomas on LinkedIn.